Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I'm out here in the lovely city of Round Rock, Texas. I mean, it's a nice little neighborhood, man. You got little, I don't know where they're at, but those little white kids riding around on bikes and stuff. So shout out to Round Rock, Texas. I like it here. I would get me a house here. I truthfully would. Maybe one day we'll look into it. But listen, March 19th, save the date. I wanted to talk about it. Edgar Berlanga is coming back to the ring. You know, a lot of people are not really high on Berlanga because boxing's a very fickle sport. They say you're only as good as your last fight, and that's how most fans treat fighters. And it's a sad reality because these fighters put everything on the line for us. But you know, he's coming back March 19th, and he's taking on Steve Rolls. Yes, that's Steve Rolls, the same Steve Rolls that got knocked out by Triple G in 4 rounds at Madison Square Garden. And this fight will be at none other than Madison Square Garden. So I'm looking at this fight for Berlanga. I'll be honest with you. Berlanga has to impress in this fight. Like, there is no excuse for Edgar Berlanga to not impress in this fight. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not just going to be a hater or nothing like that. I'm going to tell you why. And I like Edgar Berlanga, and I'm speaking as someone who's met him. I like him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he's got some things to work on, but he's got good ability. And I want to see him reach his fullest, utmost potential in boxing. So the reality is this. Steve Rolls is 37 years old. I actually watched his last fight when he fought Christopher Brooker on the Oscar Rivas versus Ryan Ruzicki undercard. He was the co-main event, and this fight was being discussed on that telecast. So the choice of opponent isn't the most surprising to me because I follow boxing and I know how shit works. Okay, now Edgar Berlanga is one of the many people, Puerto Rican fighters, that have been pegged to be the next Puerto Rican star to fill the shoes of Miguel Cotto. He's the next one in a long list of Puerto Rican stars. Many before him have come, and many before him have failed. And because of what happened in the last fight of Marcelo Coceres, a lot of people believe that he'll be the next Puerto Rican Hypejob to fail. I'm not going to exactly write him off just yet, but he's got to show me something in this fight. Because he's fighting Steve Rolls, who's 37 years old, who, you know, Steve Rolls is a light punching fighter. I watched his last fight against Christopher Brooker. You know, he has good skills. He has good speed. He's not a bum or anything like that. I don't like calling fighters bums, but he's not like he's not a bad fighter. He's not a great fighter, but he's solid. He's a solid guy that's there for Edgar Berlanga to look good against. And on top of that, he's 37 years old. His last fight against Brooker was his first fight, or maybe it wasn't his first fight, but it was his first fight in a long time against anybody at super middleweight. You know, because if you go look at his last 3 or 4 fights before the Brooker fight, they were all at middleweight, all at 160, including the Golovkin fight. So this is a fight where Berlanga is going to be fighting at Madison Square Garden. I believe he'll probably be headlining at Madison Square Garden, and he's going to be tasked with dealing with that pressure that comes with being a young Puerto Rican star fighting in the Garden, you know, and people are expecting him to go in there and not just look good, but look sensational. So I don't want to just see Edgar Berlanga get a knockout. I want to see Edgar Berlanga throwing some feints. I want to see some growth. I want to see some wrinkles. I want to see something different from Berlanga, because the reality is this, and I like him, but he was on that massive knockout streak where he was knocking everybody out in the first round. He could do no wrong. Then he fought Desmond Nicholson, which was a fight where he got a lot of criticism for not getting a knockout. But, I mean, he dropped him 4 times and looked good in the fight. So I didn't really criticize him for that. But there were some chinks in the armor that I saw, and I pointed them out to my father and many of you guys who watch this channel. And I was pointing them out when I was live for the Berlanga fight when he fought Coceres. There was a lot of, things, chinks in his armor that I pointed out in that fight as well. So Berlanga, he can ill afford another lackluster performance, or a performance where he doesn't look anything other than his best. Because the reality is this, like I said earlier, in boxing, the unfortunate thing is you're only as good as your last fight. And Top Rank deserves a lot of credit because, in my humble opinion, no disrespect to the Canadian Steve Rolls, you know, I wish him the best. You know, he's gonna go into this fight believing he can win. And listen, I like seeing the B-side guys win because boxing's a tough sport, and you know, it's not easy for guys to make a living, you know. So if he wins, or you know, good for him. Best of luck to him. But he's made to order for Berlanga. Like at Top Rank, if you go into the lab right now with the way Berlanga's at in his career and pick an opponent that is made to order, that is tailor made for Berlanga, this would be the guy. Because not because he's bad, but just because Steve Rolls doesn't punch that hard. He's 37 years old, and he's truthfully not even really a 168 pounder. So, you know, that plays into Berlanga's strengths because Berlanga is a hard puncher. Berlanga likes to get knockouts, and Top Rank they want him to get a knockout. They're looking for him to get a knockout. So anything less than a knockout in this fight is a disappointment. And I'll tell you this: if he don't cut that ring off against Steve Rolls, or if he don't land any hard punches on him, I'll tell you, Steve Rolls will give him problems. Because Steve Rolls can move, he can box. So if Edgar Berlanga has any problems cutting out that ring, he will get exposed worse in this fight than he has in most of his other fights. And it'll look bad because Steve Rolls got knocked out by GGG in 4 rounds. Steve Rolls is 37. Steve Rolls is barely a 168 pounder. So come on, Edgar. Get it together. Perform well. And get back to looking sensational. Get back to getting people excited about Edgar Berlanga. Be a fucking monster because we want you to be a monster. And you know, I can only defend Edgar for so long. If you go in there against Steve Rolls, Edgar, and you don't look good, again, I'm gonna have to come here and say, hey, I don't know about Edgar Berlanga, man. I'm not too sure about him. I know he's still young. I know he's 24, but you know, when you're 24 and you're young and you getting it, and you got the money and you got the status and you got the, you know, all the things going in your favor, you gotta be blowing these guys like Steve Rolls right out the water, straight up. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But save the date, March 19th, Edgar Berlanga returns against Steve Rolls. You know, we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.